Colin Huang. The founder of the Pinduoduo and Temu in August 2024 became the richest man in China with a fortune of over $50 billion. His name has appeared everywhere in recent months.
Colin Huang.
Colin Huang, the tech tycoon and founder of e-commerce giant Temu, has become China's richest person.
The story of a serial entrepreneur who has encountered countless entrepreneurial challenges both in e-commerce and in the gaming industry since he was 20, and who, within just 3 years of its founding, has led Pinduoduo to be listed on the Nasdaq and to direct a worldwide expansion with Temu, especially in the US. The story of the one who, in all effects, is the only man who has managed to undermine the traditional Amazon-like e-commerce model and revolutionize the sector with his innovative ideas that take inspiration from other sectors, such as gaming and social networks. This is the entrepreneurial story of Colin Huang. Colin Huang was born in 1980 in China, specifically in the outskirts of Hangzhou in the Zhejiang region. Colin's origins are humble, a common background shared with millions of Chinese citizens who work in the factories of the outskirts of third-tier cities in China, the manufacturing engine of the country. He does not come from the major Chinese cities of Shanghai or Shenzhen, where the Chinese middle class is growing, but from peripheral cities. Therefore, Colin's family cannot afford prestigious educational paths for him. Colin is a brilliant boy, especially standing out from his classmates due to his strong aptitude for scientific subjects. While in school, he decides to participate in the Mathematics Olympiad, a competition that offers scholarships to the most prestigious schools in the country. Colin participates and wins the Olympiad, securing a scholarship to one of the best schools in Zhejiang province, the Hangzhou Foreign Language School, a school attended a few years later by the son of President Xi Jinping. After graduating, he decides to pursue a degree in computer science and attends the prestigious Chu-Cochin Honors College, where he graduates in 2002. Colin, in addition to being an excellent student, was also very curious. At that time, the United States was buzzing with activity, as the dot-com era was unfolding and the internet as we know it today was being built. It's not a case if in 2002, Colin decided to leave his China and move to the buzzing United States to pursue a Master of Science at the University of Wisconsin. The time Colin spent in the US will be crucial for his entire future. During his period at the university, his talent was noticed by William Ding, the founder of the Chinese tech giant NetEase, a company now worth over $60 billion on the Nasdaq. Colin starts to regularly spend time with Ding. Colin is fascinated by the Chinese entrepreneur, and Ding finds him to be a smart young man. During the time they spent together, Colin met for the first time another man that turned to have a great influence on Colin's life. Duan Yongping, one of China's most well-known tech investors. Duan is the founder of BKK Electronics and a household name in China, being a major producer of consumer electronics like VCRs and Blu-ray players. It would later become one of the world's major smartphone producers, giving rise to brands like Oppo, OnePlus, and Vivo. The proximity of Duan and Ding proved crucial in Colin's decisions. Both were entrepreneurs in the high-tech sector, and their influence on Colin was significant. During his college years, Colin starts to approach the tech industry. He accepts the offer for an internship at Microsoft Beijing, where he earned a salary of 6,000 yuan. According to an interview, Colin acknowledged that the salary he received for the internship was already greater than his parents' combined salary at the time. After completing his education in 2004, he received offer letters from 3 major companies: Microsoft, IBM, and Oracle, the most dominant tech companies in the US at that time. However, he decided to consider the opportunity to join a startup that was attracting a lot of attention at the time and had just filed its IPO that same year: Google. Google went public on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. It marked the beginning of a meteoric rise that would make the company the world's largest search engine provider, and its stock value soared. In this way, Huang's initial stock options, which he received when he joined the firm, also saw a meteoric rise, growing to millions of dollars. As Colin continued to rise through the ranks, he returned to China in 2006 with Kai-Fu Lee to expand Google's services in China, having been tasked with leading the launch of its Chinese search engine. However, the venture failed to take off, as Google struggled to establish itself against the dominant search provider, Baidu. For Colin, the friction with his American bosses soon became too much to handle. Working for Google started to feel limiting, and he realized that he wanted to follow in the footsteps of Duan and Ding and become an entrepreneur. He takes a hard decision. Colin cashes out his Google stock options, securing the capital needed to begin the next phase of his life.
Google 的时候 ，Google 还没有上市，所以你也看到是说，有很多人在一夜之间就暴富了。那这个经历其实近距离的接触和经过观察周围的这些人，对我是有很大影响的，因为你会一下子意识到。
Colin suddenly finds himself wealthy, a situation that had been hard to imagine until that moment. However, Colin remains grounded, while he watches many acquaintances lose their sense of perspective and waste their best years, corrupted by the wealth they gained overnight. In 2007, with the money from selling his Google stock options, Colin witnessed the rising trajectory of e-commerce. He decided to create an e-commerce site specializing in the sale of consumer electronics, founding Uku.com. At that time, players like Amazon and eBay were conquering overseas markets, while Chinese tech giants Alibaba and JD were dominating the domestic market. But Colin soon realized the power of these companies and understood the difficulty of competing directly in the sector by selling physical goods. He continued to recognize the potential of the e-commerce market, but rethought how he could take advantage of this massive growth without directly competing with the large Chinese companies. In 2010, after 3 years of operations, he decided to sell Uku.com, considering the limitations he would encounter in its growth. He earned $2.2 million and decided to focus on another venture, Likee. It was 2011 when Colin founded his second company, and he was just turning 31.
创业确实是我很享受的一件事情啊，因为它有点像在玩游戏，比较重度。那你有一些小伙伴一起在奔向一个共同的愿景和目标。那创业本身，比玩游戏还更有意思的一点是说，你不光自己嗨了，自己高兴了，而是在于是说你在自己高兴的同时，很可能你也在 make 一些 impact。
Now is the moment to leverage the skills he had developed during his years working at Google. Likee's goal was to help big brands run their shops on China's largest internet shopping platforms, Alibaba and JD.com. Using the skills Mr. Huang learned at Google, Likee built a series of online shopping websites that aimed to get to the top of the search rankings for their offerings. But Colin was a true storm of ideas, and soon after he spotted yet another opportunity, this time in the gaming sector. Leveraging the software team that had accompanied him during Likee's growth, he founded Shanghai Sunman, a gaming studio. However, both projects did not take off as Colin had expected. The market for both ventures proved highly competitive, and although his companies had entered the market well, he still saw a strong dominance of larger, more established players. His growing frustration at being unable to beat the market dominance of e-commerce giants culminated in a crisis of faith in 2013. Colin withdrew into his home for almost a year, contemplating his next move. During his darkest period, he started seriously thinking about his next business. Colin reflected on a very basic concept. In China, the e-commerce giant Alibaba had 500 million customers at the time. Meanwhile, 1 billion people were using WeChat. So there are 1 billion people with a smartphone, potential users of Alibaba, but still not buying on the platform of the largest Chinese e-commerce company. Colin wondered why there was such a large discrepancy and found his answer. He realized that the 500 million people using WeChat, but not buying on Alibaba, were not citizens of major Chinese cities like Shanghai and Beijing, but rather residents in China's second and third-tier cities, where citizens did not have high incomes. The residents of these areas were much more price-sensitive when making purchases. Here, Colin spotted a great opportunity, accessing a market of over 500 million people where there was little competition. Colin decided to take the opportunity and wanted to create something specifically for them. Colin decided to launch a new e-commerce platform, his second attempt after Youku.com. A business model he deeply understood after founding Le Quay and grasping the priorities of those selling on online marketplaces. In 2015, he asked his team to build Pinduoduo. It developed on Tencent's WeChat platform, where 1 billion people across China were present, and where Colin could find his potential customers. The first sector Colin considered with great potential was agricultural goods. 10 years ago, when Pinduoduo was born, the online market was almost inaccessible to most small farmers, with fees higher than 6% for each product sold. There weren't sufficient margins for sellers to explore online sales as an additional source of revenue. But Pinduoduo was aimed at this type of producer. Colin was pushing to build warehouses and fulfillment centers like JD or Amazon for fresh produce, buying large stocks of fruit from manufacturers and selling them on the platform to consumers. However, the idea was still raw. A few months later, Colin's gaming team created a second app, applying the same group buying model to an online marketplace. The evolution of the existing e-commerce site led to the birth of what made Colin the revolutionary tycoon he is today. In this moment, Pinduoduo was born.
那我们想做的事情是说，能不能够通过一个改良了的商业运作，能够创造这样的一个机制，通过改善供应链，让这个消费者能够选择好的东西，让好的东西能够有溢价，这样反向的去倒逼整个的生产，使得
The business model proposed by the software team from his other company, Sunmeng, is innovative compared to the original idea of Pinduoduo. Pinduoduo decided to cut the activity of managing large orders and the logistics of warehouses and transportation for product sales. It positioned itself as an intermediary between suppliers and customers, acting as a marketplace where China's vast manufacturing industry could sell its products directly to customers, completely disintermediating the industry by excluding the middleman from the model. The fact that Pinduoduo disintermediates product sales is revolutionary. The typical model until that point involved the presence of a middleman who bought the finished product from factories, created a brand, managed the sales process, and handled marketing. This activity led to a markup on the products sold, resulting in higher prices for the end consumer, making them less accessible to those for whom affordability is a critical factor in the purchasing process. By excluding the middleman, Pinduoduo created a customer-to-manufacturer model, cutting the manufacturer's marketing costs by relying on collected data. In addition, he was also able to provide suggestions to its manufacturing partners on potential products requested by customers and even possible improvements to the products. With merchants all over China, Colin has been hugely influential by increasing the purchasing power of residents in third-tier regions and below, which make up 58% of its users. Its large discounts have given the less wealthy access to a wide range of products. But Colin's revolutionary ideas did not stop there. In addition to revolutionizing the business model of e-commerce sites, Pinduoduo also had another mission. In his past businesses, Colin noticed that e-commerce firms like Alibaba struggled to create an online social community, despite their great success in selling goods online. Conversely, Tencent, despite being a social media and gaming conglomerate through WeChat, had failed to leverage its massive user base to sell products. The Chinese online giants had not managed to combine the two main trends of the moment: selling products online through e-commerce and developing a loyal user community with social networks. Pinduoduo had something different from the very beginning. This difference is evident just looking to the name of the company. Pinduoduo is made up of two Chinese words, pin and duo, repeated 2 times. Pin means to piece together, or to join forces. It reflects the idea of collaboration or pooling resources. Duo means many or more. It signifies abundance or a large quantity. Pinduoduo then suggests to customers something like join together to have more. Colin wanted to offer a community experience, something that competitors like Alibaba lacked. He aimed to get people to connect through the platform. To get to his objective, he had to find a way to get the customers more engaged on the platform. He achieved this with the introduction of a new and revolutionary purchasing method, group buying. The model incentivizes customers to make large orders in groups with friends and neighbors using discounts and rewards. This model benefits both customers thanks to large discounts and sellers who gain from greater economies of scale and market insight. Group buying is a 24-hour option where you can either join an existing group or create your own, recommending Pinduoduo to friends and family. The model worked very well, with Colin increasing the number of consumers using Pinduoduo by stimulating word of mouth and fostering a sense of community. In 2017, Pinduoduo branched out from agricultural products, selling everything from clothing, household items, electronics, and fresh produce. The overall experience on the app is based on a gamified journey where customers need to spread the platform to other people to earn discounts. But the idea of designing its platform like a game was no accident.
消费升级哈，以前我们做游戏就你以前也做过游戏，是，你就会知道其实游戏本身是一种消费升级的需求，所以我们已经有大量的游戏公司在给这个各种各样的男生创造游戏，和小部分的女生创造游戏的时候，但真正主流的女性游戏是什么呢？是购物。刘烨，你作为主持人，你自己偶尔可能也会逛街。你去逛家里中心，我90%的时间都在逛街。
According to Colin, women look for a shopping experience, not payment and shipping efficiency like on Amazon. The new company successfully positioned itself as a rebel against the monopolization of the e-commerce space by the likes of Alibaba and JD. Long neglected by China's e-commerce giants, the millions of urban workers seeking to save on living costs soon embraced Pinduoduo as an indispensable go-to service for essential daily products. Everything was set up for a great success. In just 4 months, it reached 10 million users. Less than a year after its launch, it had 20 million users, and after a year and a half, 100 million. By 2018, Pinduoduo had a customer base of 300 million users. The company's stellar performance culminated in an initial public offering in the United States in July 2018, raising $1.6 billion in investment capital. Founded in 2015, Pinduoduo got listed on NASDAQ in 2018. It took only 3 years for Colin Huang's new company to go public on NASDAQ, much faster than the listings of Airbnb, Facebook, and Alibaba. Following the IPO, Colin's 47% stake in the company was valued at $14 billion, propelling him to 13th on China's wealth ranking as the youngest self-made billionaire in the country. At the age of 38, Colin created one of the largest e-commerce platforms in China, but still was missing the last piece of the puzzle that will make Colin the richest man in China.
Interactive. Yes. I just want to show, this is our Chinese heat map, and this shows Pinduoduo with a $188 billion, I guess, market capitalization here, trumping Alibaba by about $7 billion, and nothing else is really even close.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, it's time to take the Pinduoduo model beyond China. The following year, he led Pinduoduo's overseas expansion, founding Temu, and was on his way to becoming one of the richest men in the world. Temu was launched in September 2022. After just 1 year in the United States, it reached 51 million monthly active users. To make a clear comparison, Amazon took 10 years to reach the same number. Temu is the optimized version of Pinduoduo for Western customers, and since its launch, it has made a strong impact on the e-commerce sector. Temu has the same business model as Pinduoduo, a disintermediated customer-to-manufacturer model, a sense of community, and a gamified experience that completely sets it apart from competitors. In Temu, there are actual games designed to accumulate credits, which are then used to access discounts and further increase consumer spending. Temu is also much more affordable than Amazon. The goods available on both Temu and Amazon demonstrate the intense price competition between the two. Like its parent company Pinduoduo, Temu, in order to erode quickly market share form the biggest competitors in the Western economies, decided to adopt an aggressive marketing strategy. Temu quickly developed a strong following in 2 main ways. firstly decided to invade social media, collaborating with thousands of influencers, which led millions of people to become aware of the brand. Finally, in order to consolidate its brand, Temu started heavily investing in advertising. According to JP Morgan, Temu spent $1.7 billion on advertising in 2023, primarily on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and is expected to spend $3 billion in 2024. Just to make an example of Temu's huge marketing strategy, there's a great chance that you may have seen Temu ads during the 2024 Super Bowl main event. Temu led the Super Bowl ad inventory with a total of 6 ads from kickoff through the post-game show, 30 seconds for $7 million each. 50 million people watched the Super Bowl, and Temu spent tens of millions of dollars to have a prominent spot during the most watched sporting event in the world. The app's immediate success has again attracted investor interest in Pinduoduo stock, which once again skyrocketed, making Colin Huang the richest man in China for a few days before he lost ground and settled in 4th place. There are also several headwinds facing the new Chinese e-commerce giant, including accusations of counterfeiting, non-compliance with labor regulations concerning child labor or worker exploitation, and the potentially enormous cross-border shipping costs that could threaten Temu's profitability. However, despite these challenges, Temu is positioned to become a major e-commerce giant in the West. Certainly there's some challenges to face in order to establish the cross-border e-commerce model that often failed to have success in the past. But one thing is granted, if Temu manages these obstacles, we will soon see again Colin Huang at the top of the world's richest people list.